Welcome to Top 10 Impact Channel, where we dive into the most significant events and innovations that have shaped our world and transformed the course of human history. Before you go, make sure to like the video, share the knowledge, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to stay updated with more Top 10 Impact stories. Throughout the journey of humanity, there are moments so powerful, so earth-shaking, that they didn't just influence the future, they rewrote it forever. These are the turning points where civilizations collapsed, new worlds were discovered, revolutions erupted, and ideas were born that reshaped everything we know today. In this video, we dive deep into the 10 most impactful historical events that have irreversibly changed the direction of human history. Moments that shifted power, transformed societies, and redefined what it means to be human. Get ready, because you're about to witness the defining chapters of our global story, one monumental event at a time. Let you begin from number 10. Number 10, the Green Revolution, feeding a growing world. In the mid-20th century, the world faced a looming Malthusian crisis. The global population was exploding, and there were serious concerns that food production would not be able to keep up, leading to widespread famine. The Green Revolution refers to a series of research and technology transfer initiatives that occurred between the 1950s and the late 1960s, which dramatically increased agricultural production worldwide. Led by scientists like Norman Borlaug, this revolution involved the development of high-yield varieties of cereal grains, especially dwarf wheat and rice, the expansion of irrigation infrastructure, and the modernization of management techniques with the distribution of hybridized seeds, synthetic fertilizers, and pesticides to farmers. The impact was astounding. Countries like India and Mexico, which had been facing the prospect of mass starvation, were able to double or even triple their grain production in a matter of years, achieving self-sufficiency. The Green Revolution is credited with saving over 1 billion people from starvation and was a key factor in allowing the global population to grow from 2.5 billion in 1950 to over 8 billion today. While it has faced criticism for its environmental impact, including reliance on chemical inputs and a reduction in biodiversity, there is no denying its monumental success in averting a global food catastrophe. It represents one of the greatest scientific achievements of the 20th century and a pivotal event in the story of human survival and development. Number 9, the development of the Internet, a connected planet. While its origins lie in military research during the Cold War, the development and public accessibility of the Internet and the World Wide Web in the late 20th century has launched a digital revolution that is reshaping humanity in real time. This is one of the most significant inventions that changed the world, comparable in its impact to the printing press. The Internet has fundamentally altered the way we communicate, work, learn, shop, and entertain ourselves. It has connected billions of people across the globe, erasing geographical barriers and creating a truly interconnected global village. The Internet has democratized access to information on an unprecedented scale, allowing anyone with a connection to access the vast repository of human knowledge. It has fueled economic innovation, creating entire new industries and transforming existing ones. Social media platforms have changed the nature of social interaction and political discourse, enabling grassroots movements and citizen journalism. However, this revolution also has a downside, raising new challenges related to privacy, misinformation, cyber warfare, and the digital divide. The full consequences of the Internet age are still unfolding, but it is undeniably one of the most transformative events in history, creating a new layer of reality that now permeates almost every aspect of modern life. Number 8. The Russian Revolution, the rise of communism. In 1917, amidst the chaos of World War I, Russia underwent a seismic political transformation that would have a profound impact on the 20th century. The Russian Revolution saw the overthrow of the centuries-old Tsarist monarchy and the rise of the world's first communist state, led by Vladimir Lenin and the Bolshevik Party. Based on the theories of Karl Marx, the new Soviet Union sought to create a classless society by abolishing private property and placing all means of production under state control. This was a radical experiment in social and economic engineering on a massive scale. The success of the Bolsheviks sent shockwaves around the world. It presented a powerful alternative to capitalist democracy and inspired communist movements and revolutions in countries like China, Vietnam, Cuba, and across Eastern Europe. This led directly to the Cold War, a nearly half-century-long global standoff between the Communist bloc, led by the Soviet Union, and the capitalist bloc, led by the United States. This ideological conflict shaped international relations, fueled proxy wars across the globe, and drove the nuclear arms race. Though the Soviet Union eventually collapsed in 1991, the Russian Revolution's legacy continues to influence global politics and debates about capitalism, socialism, and the role of the state. Number 7. The World Wars, the End of Empires and a New Global Order. The first half of the 20th century was dominated by two of the most destructive conflicts in human history, World War I, 1914 to 1918, and World War II, 1939 to 1945. These were not regional conflicts but total wars that involved nations from every corner of the globe and mobilized entire societies for the war effort. The World War's consequences were cataclysmic and reshaped the political map of the world. The old European empires, the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, German, and Russian, crumbled, giving way to new nations and ideologies. World War II, in particular, brought unprecedented horrors, including the Holocaust and the use of atomic weapons, which ushered in the nuclear age. In the aftermath, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as two rival superpowers, leading to the decades-long ideological struggle of the Cold War. The devastation of the wars also spurred a new desire for international cooperation to prevent future conflicts, leading to the formation of the United Nations. Furthermore, the wars accelerated decolonization, as weakened European powers could no longer maintain their overseas empires, leading to the independence of dozens of nations in Asia and Africa. These conflicts marked a violent and decisive break with the past, creating the geopolitical landscape that has defined the last 80 years. Number 6. The Industrial Revolution, Forging the Modern World. Beginning in Great Britain in the late 18th century, the Industrial Revolution was a period of profound technological and economic change that was as transformative as the Agricultural Revolution. It marked the transition from hand production methods to machines, new chemical manufacturing processes, and the increasing use of steam and water power. The Industrial Revolution effects were felt in every aspect of life. The invention of the steam engine, the power loom, and the spinning jenny revolutionized the textile industry and led to the rise of the factory system. This revolution triggered a massive wave of urbanization, as people moved from rural areas to cities in search of work. New social classes, including a wealthy industrial capitalist class and a large urban working class, the proletariat, emerged. Society was restructured around the clock and the factory whistle. While it brought unprecedented economic growth and a flood of new consumer goods, it also created immense social problems, overcrowded and unsanitary cities, dangerous working conditions, and child labor. The Industrial Revolution not only created the modern industrial economy but also gave rise to new political ideologies like socialism and communism, which sought to address its inequalities. It forever changed how we work, where we live, and the structure of our societies. Number 5. The Enlightenment, the Age of Reason and Rights. Flowing directly from the principles of the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment of the 17th and 18th centuries applied the ideals of reason and empirical inquiry to human society itself. Philosophers like John Locke, Voltaire, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Montesquieu began to question the traditional structures of power, such as absolute monarchy and the divine right of kings. They championed radical new ideas that have become the cornerstones of modern liberal democracies: individual liberty, natural rights, life, liberty, and property, freedom of speech, religious tolerance, and the separation of powers in government. These were powerful historical social changes born from intellectual debate. These ideas spread through salons, coffeehouses, and printed materials, inspiring a wave of political revolutions. The American Revolution of 1776, with its Declaration of Independence, was a direct application of Enlightenment thought, asserting that governments derive their power from the consent of the governed. The French Revolution of 1789 took these ideas even further with its cry of liberté, égalité, fraternité, liberty, equality, fraternity, challenging and ultimately dismantling centuries of aristocratic and monarchical rule. The Enlightenment fundamentally shifted the basis of political legitimacy from divine authority to the rights and will of the people, creating the ideological. Number 4. The Scientific Revolution, a new way of thinking. From the 16th to the 18th centuries, a profound shift in human thought occurred that we now call the Scientific Revolution. This was not a war or a change in government, but a revolution in the mind. Thinkers like Nicholas Copernicus, Galileo Galilei, Isaac Newton, and Francis Bacon began to challenge long-held beliefs based on tradition and religious dogma, proposing instead that the universe could be understood through observation, experimentation, and reason. This was a radical departure from the past, emphasizing empirical evidence over ancient authority. Copernicus's heliocentric model, which placed the Sun, not the Earth, at the center of the solar system, was a key turning point. The scientific revolution introduced the scientific method, a systematic process for gathering and testing knowledge that remains the bedrock of scientific inquiry today. Isaac Newton's laws of motion and universal gravitation revealed a universe that operated according to predictable, mathematical principles. This had enormous practical applications, driving technological innovation and laying the groundwork for the Industrial Revolution. More profoundly, it changed humanity's perception of itself and its place in the cosmos. The universe was no longer a mysterious, divine realm but a rational, ordered system that could be comprehended by the human intellect. This new way of thinking championed reason and inquiry, values that would later fuel the Enlightenment and the development of modern political thought. Number 3. The discovery of the Americas, a collision of worlds. In 1492, when Christopher Columbus made landfall in the Caribbean, he did not just discover a new land, he initiated a monumental collision of two worlds that had developed in isolation for millennia. The discovery of the Americas by Europeans set in motion a series of events that would permanently reshape the demographics, economies, and ecosystems of the entire planet. This encounter, often termed the Columbian Exchange, saw the transfer of plants, animals, diseases, technologies, and ideas between the Old World, Europe, Asia, Africa, and the New World, the Americas. From the Americas, Europe received transformative crops like potatoes, maize, corn, and tomatoes, which would become dietary staples and fuel population growth. In return, the Americas received European livestock such as horses, cattle, and pigs. However, the exchange was not benign. European diseases like smallpox and measles, to which Native American populations had no immunity, caused a demographic catastrophe, wiping out an estimated 90% of the indigenous population in one of the greatest tragedies in human history. The colonization that followed led to the establishment of vast European empires, the brutal transatlantic slave trade, and the creation of new, multicultural societies. This single event laid the foundations for a truly globalized world, with all its complexities and inequalities. Number 2. The invention of the printing press, an information revolution. Before the mid-15th century, knowledge was a scarce and precious commodity. Books were rare, hand-copied by scribes in a laborious and time-consuming process, making them accessible only to the wealthy elite and the clergy. This all changed around 1440 when Johannes Gutenberg developed a printing press with movable type. The printing press significance cannot be overstated, it was the internet of its time. Suddenly, information could be reproduced quickly, accurately, and cheaply. For the first time, ideas could spread like wildfire, unconstrained by the slow pace of the human hand. The impact was immediate and revolutionary. The Protestant Reformation, led by Martin Luther, was fueled by the mass printing of his 95 Theses, which challenged the authority of the Catholic Church. The Renaissance, a rebirth of art and learning, was accelerated as classical texts became widely available to scholars. Literacy rates began to climb as books became more affordable for the growing middle class. Scientific knowledge could be shared and built upon, paving the way for the scientific revolution. The printing press democratized knowledge, breaking the monopoly held by religious and political authorities and empowering individuals to think for themselves. It fundamentally altered the intellectual landscape of the world and set the stage for the modern age of information.